Here's another question I received. They would like to extend their driveway out for some additional parking and eliminate the water that pools up in this drainage area here. And I see a couple of problems. One, the property line. Looks like there's two different fences here dividing the property. You need to actually know where the property line is. Is it this or is it the fence? More than likely it's going to be the fence. I don't recommend going into your neighbor's property with something like this, even if they okay it. Let's just say that the person living here says, "Oh, I don't mind. Go ahead and pour the driveway over. Go all the way. You can put it in our yard." And then they sell their house, and the next property owner comes in and says, "Hey, we want our property back, and you're going to have to get somebody to cut the concrete and remove it." Never a good idea. And I know that some of you live in a fairy tale world and you think, "Oh, no, that's not a problem." And knock yourself out. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. Now, the other problem I see is the height of the driveway is going to create a problem for the drainage area. Now, let's take a look at what we're looking at. We're looking at, they usually refer to this as a swale, and I don't know where that word came from. I'll just refer to it as a drainage sidewalk. How's that? I would rather see a sidewalk here, something flat. This is hard to walk on most of the time. Sidewalk's nice and comfortable. You could always pour a sidewalk next to the house. It could go all the way to the fence if you wanted. And it could just as long as it's draining somewhere. If you poured a sidewalk up against the building and then left it about 6 inches away from the block wall without any type of site drainage, you could end up with erosion problems as all of the water goes into this area and starts to erode the soil underneath the wall. Possible. It's just a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This was the original idea, was to put a drain at the end of the drainage ditch. And you can see here the drain would go here, and then they weren't going to go under the sidewalk and out through the curb. It was going to be too much work. They were going to just have the drain come and drain out here somewhere, and this actually could create problems, other problems I'm not going to go into in this video. But you can see here, this is the big problem that I'm referring to. If you extend the driveway, for this particular situation, it's going to be a little higher than the drainage walkway. And you can see that all the water here would stop. Now, you could put a drain in here, and the drain could help you get rid of the water. You could have the drain come out over here somewhere, and that would work out relatively okay. You know, keep in mind, if you have the drain and it's not going through the sidewalk, it's not going to go out into the street, then you could end up with erosion problems here underneath the walkway, underneath your extended driveway, and underneath the retaining wall. I do not recommend that. Now, the other problem I have is the fact that you have a safety hazard here because you're going to have to step down onto the drainage walkway, and that's not going to be good. So I really don't recommend that either. What I would recommend would be to remove the drainage walkway and install a regular walkway, and you would end up with something like this. You would have an extension on the driveway and then a walkway that would be comfortable. And I believe the homeowners store their trash cans over here. This would make a nice, comfortable way to transfer the trash cans out to the street also. And you can see here, right, that's what it would look like from the back. That's what it would look like here. Now, remember your walkway, and they had plenty of room. You don't ever want to pour the walkway or the driveway above the foundation line. I think that most building codes require a 2 inches minimum from the bottom of the siding or the bottom of the stucco, bottom of the exterior wall finish, to the top of the walkway. Keep that in mind. The stucco and the siding, it needs to be able to get rid of the water. And I have other videos on that. You can always check them out in the siding section on the website. And the water needs to get out. If you were to pour the walkway above the stucco, then the water or the moisture that gets trapped in the stucco isn't going to have anywhere to go. And another problem you're going to end up with, or you could end up with, is that the concrete can get wet and absorb moisture. And the moisture in the concrete and then the ground will actually get sucked up into the stucco. And this, of course, will, or I should say, can create problems for the stucco. I've seen the stucco actually get soft where you could just poke your finger through it. That's how soft it'll get if enough time goes by. So keep that in mind if you are going to use this type of plan. Last thing I would like to point out in the video is the property lines. Give you a better idea here. I would imagine that the smaller retaining wall is not the property line, but again, I don't know. The property line could be in the middle for all I know. Most of the time, and I say this most of the time, the wall that is separating the properties is going to be built on the property line, and this would be your best guide for where you would want to stop any work on your property just to eliminate possible problems in the future. If you really need to know where the property line is, because maybe you don't get along with your neighbor or something like that, then you might need to go down to the city planning department, and they will provide you with a plot plan or a lot plan, something showing where your property lines are exactly to give you a better idea so that you don't make a mistake and that might lead to problems in the future. So anyway, that's it for this video. If you have any questions or you need any more information, feel free to leave the comments and questions in the comment area. And don't forget that if you have any questions yourself, feel free to email them to me along with pictures at our email address can be found on our website. And of course, the website, if you can't find that, it should be located on this video somewhere in the corner, but it is homebuildingandrepairs.com.